exactly, T-Shane. It's that honky-tonk, but donk-a-donk. Actually, if we're being completely honest, it's not a very bodacious butt. I expect more from the Dark Prince's favorite son, but from the front, Fabio's all business, and we're playing SFO Grimhammer with a full Slaanesh-themed army, which means Mirror Guard, Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires, Chosen, and Chaos Knights all aching for a trip to Pound Town. And the lucky recipients of their lovin' today will be the peasants of Bretonnia. No mounted knights whatsoever, and the nobles who did show up are rocking the virtue of empathy, which means they're huffing it with the boys. Hermit knights, lost sons, and banners. Glorious banners, courtesy of the modding community and added in the most recent update for SFO. So I am playing as the Warriors of Slaanesh with Sigvald the Magnificent at the helm, replete with his auric armor and mirror shield. He is quite a bit stronger in this mod than vanilla, with an AoE hex, a net for dueling lords and heroes, 56 speed, and a scary stat line. But you can't build a Slaaneshi army without the Mirror Guard. Perfect Vigor, they buff Sigvald, and they have a 25% ward save, and operating on the flanks are the Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires, kind of like Slaaneshi Chosen, a Forsaken unit infused with PCP and Clenbuterol. They blind enemies in melee. They also have the Visions of Pleasure Hex, and they have a hefty dose of AP, but they're a bit squishy in a straight up fight, so yeah, a lot like Forsaken. Got some Chosen Halberds, Marauders, Marauder Cav, and 2 Chaos Knights with Lances, who are AP and bonus versus large in SFO, which normally would be great against Bretonnia, but that'll all be a bit wasted because, as we've already seen, the Bretonnians brought 0 cavalry to the field. It is all peasants. Always has been. There's a horde of them, man. 2,500 to be exact, outnumbering the Chaos forces almost 3-1, and leading the charge are Albrecht de Bordelot and the Lost Sons of Bretonnia, a hybrid caster and melee unit with a ward save and only 6 models. They haven't brought any spells this battle, so we decided not to bring any magic to see how long battles would actually last without vortexes and wind spells demolishing entire regiments every 5 seconds. Hermit Knights are hanging out too. They're a legendary unit, so you can only bring one of them, and they're the super old and decrepit Grail Knights who guard chapels and holy sites on foot. And just like their Grail Knight counterparts, they regen, they have the Blessing of the Lady, and everything you'd expect except a horse. So here, at the shores of the Sea of Chaos, a bunch of poopy peasants will test their mettle against the randy Knights of Slaanesh. Mounted yeomen in the front ranks doing a bit of skirmishing and harrying early. Be pretty annoying for my Marauder Cav to deal with because they outrange me like 2-1. But the whole game plan here is to pull the Bretonnians out of this choke point so we don't have to deal with them in that straight grind in the choke point going through wave after wave of peasants. And we also have a bit of a secret here hidden on the flank. These guys can Vanguard deploy the Guardians of Dark Prince's Desires, and so if I get them in and behind the Bretonnian army, could do quite a bit of nasty work over there. So for now, I was thinking maybe a good idea to shift into the woods. There's a lot of ranged firepower, and the Bretonnians do have some longbowmen, which are super annoying for my relatively low armored Chaos army to deal with. Remember, Slaanesh likes to get naked. They typically trade armor values for better stamina and for higher AP. So their units are a lot more susceptible to focus fire from, I think, the 190 range longbows of the Bretonnian men-at-arms. So, yeah, those archers can be a problem for a Slaaneshi-themed build. Zach B. Sane is commanding the Bretons in this one. He'll begin the day with a torrent of fire at my poor 70 armored Dark Prince Guardians, and bolstering this peasant tide alongside the mounted yeomen are a few of these bad boys, the Grail Reliquae. What a glorious model on them indeed. Just a dead Grail Knight carried around by a bunch of Grail Pilgrims wanting to drink the lady's bathwater. Getting a bit silly, but I love it. Very Monty Python-esque. And honestly, this is a scary peasant tide, dude. They're 2,500. That is a lot of bodies to cut through, and I'm thinking Fatshark just needs to make a meme game mode called Peasant Tide where a bunch of feverish and pox-riddled 80-year-old hunchbacks screech towards you in the Uber Strike 5 and you just put them out of their misery. Speaking of putting them out of their misery, we got the Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires first into the breach. They've got, I believe, 70 charge bonus, which is pretty crazy, and they can chunk through hordes of peasants real quick as long as they're not getting shot up or getting met with a bunch of armor piercing. Sigvald dealing with the Hermit Knights and his own horde as Visions of Pleasure goes down and debuffs the entire battle line in the front ranks, and the Mirror Guard, meanwhile, fighting out on the side and engaging with the Foot Squires. Now, the Foot Squires are going to be a huge issue for Chaos, obviously. Bonus versus infantry, armor piercing, very cost effective, and you can field a lot of them because they're real cheap. So even the chosen halberds might not want to stick around with them for too long. The idea is to break them and break them quickly, and hopefully Chaos Knights will be able to do that. Now remember, we have the Lance version. They are bonus versus large and armor piercing. It would have been better to have the shielded variant, the sword and board, who have bonus versus infantry in SFO, but unfortunately had no idea he was going to be going for a full peasant tide themed build, so got a little bit awkward. My Chaos Knights are not going to be useless by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not exactly fighting the targets they want to be fighting. Chaos Warhounds sprung their ambush into the mounted yeomen, and you can see the Chaos Knights are already feeling the effects of 3 or 4 of those longbow volleys, while the Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires cackle in the woods and wait for an opportune moment to strike. The choke point is making it a little bit more difficult for me to use my cavalry the way I want to. It kind of has to be a frontal engagement. There's not a lot of flanking yet, but as soon as I break the left side of the Bretonnian battle line, there should be some opportunity to pour through the gaps and get in and hopefully shut down those longbows for good. Chosen halberds ran through the peasants, as you would expect. That's kind of what they do. Again, I was expecting to see Grail Knights or Hippogriff Knights or some form of large cavalry where halberds would have been incredibly useful. In this situation, they're going to be less so, but they obviously still have an amazing stat line anyway, so should be fine. Visions of Pleasure goes down here. It'll be a speed debuff, a melee attack debuff, a weapon damage debuff, all that for 30 seconds. It's incredibly useful, but the trade-off is, of course, that the Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires are nowhere near as tanky as the quote-unquote chosen for the other Chaos Gods, and we can already see that here. Lost Sons are ripping and tearing their way through the Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires. They're dropping like crazy. Oh, there we go. One of them just got his head chopped off. That's an ouch. And I don't know if it's unique to SFO, but they actually have a scabbard animation. Those Lost Sons, they will actually put their swords back in their scabbards and take them out again. I can't think of any unit in vanilla that has that kind of animation, so that's pretty cool. Sigvald is completely surrounded by Hermit Knights and Men-at-Arms at the moment, but he has Auric Armor, he has Regen, is a fantastic stat line, and he has Enchanting Beauty on Sliver Slash, which is super good because it lowers melee attack even further. So when he pops that Reflecting Beauty down and the Chaos Knights go to work, then it means that a lot of the enemy force is severely debuffed as they're grinding it out with Slaanesh, which is just how he likes it. Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires have gotten through a ton of ranks of these peasants and are trying to push forward into the longbows. I decided to retreat everything on this side, the ambush wing, because Foot Squires and the Beast Slayers of Bastogne and some more AP troops were headed their way, and figured it was just better to use their mobility and kind of avoid combat over there for a little bit while Sigvald does some dueling. Now, Albric is coming over. He's smacking him around with his Mirror Shield, and that's a bit too much armor piercing for even the Scion of Slaanesh to deal with. He's down to half HP. Has plenty of regen though. Let him do his thing. He's got 56 speed. You can cycle charge with him. You don't have to keep him in the fight for forever. Pull him out, go somewhere else, and we'll keep him on the periphery for a little bit while the Mirror Guard do their work. 25% ward save, incredibly useful. They're at half HP, but they got through the Foot Squires and they got through the Men-at-Arms that were on that side. And the Chaos Knights are free and might have an opportunity to jump right into the Peasants. Get rid of those archers for good, but there's an even better target right now. Men-at-Arms, Polearms, about to be completely surrounded, and that is a good old-fashioned Eiffel Tower. Ooh, wait! That's going to be a good one. Right there, hammer and anvil, smacking them from behind, smacking them from the front, and those are some spit-roasted Men-at-Arms just destroyed by the rear charge, and they're not going to be around for too much longer after that. Incredibly satisfying to watch. Yeah, you don't really want to be pancaked between Guardians and Chaos Knights. That's very painful. And they will disappear under that torrent of blood and martial skill. What you like to see. If you're playing as the Warriors of Chaos, they should shatter very quickly after. On this side, though, Men-at-Arms are holding out admirably. Mirror Guard and Marauders trying to chunk through them, but they're struggling a bit. And you can see that the sheer weight of numbers is quite a lot to deal with for an army that's this small. Running away with the Guardians over here. I just said, you know what, Foot Squires, super annoying. Bonus for infantry, armor piercing. No reason to fight them in a straight up engagement. We've got the speed, pop a speed debuff from the Visions of Pleasure on them, and run the hell away. and get somewhere else. Now, this is a feels bad man. Look at these idiots over here. The Chosen did great for me, but then they chased them off the map, and I forgot about them for a while. So they're going to be taking a siesta over on the other side of the battlefield while the rest of my army is grinding it out. Pretty unfortunate. I don't recommend forgetting your units. It's usually not a fantastic way to win battles, but we'll see if it makes a big impact here. Certainly not going to help me, but we got plenty of time to right this ship, and it's not even going that poorly at the moment. Chaos Knights are not doing fantastic for me right here, though. I mean, they're only up to 40 kills. They got into the peasants, they got into the longbowmen, got into the men-at-arms. But Albrecht is nearby, and the Trident of Manon is stabbing deep into the guts of all their steeds. And he just killed 5 or 6 cavalry models right then and there. But this is still anyone's game. All the Marauder Horsemen are still alive, which means there's still plenty of mobility and ammunition on the field for Chaos. The Bretonnians still have a decent amount of ammunition left in their longbows, those that are still alive. The Guardians of Dark Prince's Desires are full HP. Chaos Knights are relatively healthy. Chosen Halberds are healthy when they can finally get their asses back into melee combat. And both sides still have win conditions to take this battle. Bounce bar swung a little bit in the favor of Bretonnia, but honestly, that's where the battle started out anyway. It's not really a big deal. Sigvald is dueling a Grail Reliquary. Who would win? A glorious Fabio blonde-haired bombshell or a dead Grail Knight that can't actually fight and is being carried by a bunch of Friar Tucks? That's the real question. I guess we'll find out. I have a feeling Sigvald will win that, while the Chaos Knights get a rear charge into the Foot Squires. Pretty limp dick charge, though. Didn't do a whole lot. Hey, let's get a sandwich. Another one. Boom. Huge charge from both sides. Gonna be a good idea to pull out with those Chaos Knights and get another cycle charge in, though. They didn't get their full impact damage off, so get some momentum and go back at it again. Foot Squires dropping super low in terms of their morale, in terms of their leadership, so Chaos Knights won't even be needed for that rear charge, and they're going to route directly into their clutches. That's nasty. Again, not a super impressive charge. I'm not sure if a few of the models got caught up in the Foot Squire unit, so they didn't get their full momentum in, but, well, they ended up running directly into them. Now the Foot Squires are dead. That's a big pickoff for sure. Might swing things a little bit back more towards Chaos and their favor. Sigvald is about to finish off this Grail Reliquary. What a mighty duel this has been. Mounted yeomen charging forth to aid their comrade, and one just got completely shish kebabbed by Sliver Slash. Couple more attacks should finish it off. I think it's only one hit from death. And it is going to drop here, maybe? Yeah, it does. Finally. Unfortunately, there's another Grail Reliquary right next to it, so Sigvald's gonna have to waste even more time trying to get rid of it. Honestly, there's not a lot of terror on the field for Slaanesh right now. Having a Keeper of Secrets or some Slaanesh Demons would be very useful at this point in the battle. And these idiots are still hanging out. These gigantic dildos in the back of the map doing absolutely nothing. I'd like to blame the Chosen Halberd unit, but honestly, it's my fault. It's just my bad. It happens sometimes. Not proud of it, but I have completely forgotten about them. Hopefully, we'll notice it in time to get them into combat. There's a lot of routing on the Chaos line right now, which was surprising to me. I don't know why there's so much routing. The leadership for Slaanesh has never been what makes them special, but they do have immune to psych, and I don't actually know if there's any terror-causing or even fear-causing units on the other side of the field. Typically speaking, pox-riddled peasants don't fall into that category. Chaos Knights have a clean charge into the longbows, running over them, but still feeling the pincushion effect from the rest of the longbows in the back. And they've got to run through 2 or 3 full units of them and break them quickly before they take much more damage. Sigvald, this is where we win or lose the game. Can he strike the head off the snake? Can he win his duel? He should be able to beat the brakes off Albrecht when he's dismounted. On the Hippogriff, might be a different fight with some psycho charging, but in a 1v1 duel on foot, I would totally expect Sigvald to win. But will it be enough? Chaos Knights making it into the 2nd and 3rd regiments of longbows, but the horde of peasants are on their heels, and they might get sandwiched here. Well, Slaanesh might like that. It often precipitates a mass rout And the Mounted Yeoman charge will indeed rout them off. The Longbows did so much damage to my Chaos Knights this battle. It's been painful to watch. Here, Guardians of the Dark Prince's Desires beating up on the Holy Wardens of La Santal Abbey and should be able to win. I believe they have flame resist too. So yeah, they're scything through them pretty quick. But there's not a whole lot of them left. They are severely depleted after their fights with Foot Squires and a couple charges from the Mounted Yeomen. But that's where we're getting to swing a little bit more in the favor of Bretonnia. Sigvald having to deal with the Lost Sons of Bretonnia and a Grail Reliquary. It looks like Albrecht decided to nope the hell on out of there. Yeah, you got super low. Look at him in the background there. Slivers of HP left. Sigvald can't deal with all this, man. Hermit Knights are full HP. That is a lot of health. I believe around 12,000 on those 12 or 13 models. Sigvald running away, trying to get some more regen. Trying to buy some more time for the Chosen Halberds to make their way over. But the Chosen are not going to do anything more this battle. Army losses will kick in as Sigvald drops low, and Bretonnia is going to take it. Now, I don't know if having those Chosen Halberds in the fight that entire time would have changed anything. There were actually quite a few Bretonnians left. I only killed half their number, essentially. But obviously, it would have been very beneficial to have a Chosen anchoring my battle lines in the center, just taking it out like a boss, giving some more anvils for my Chaos Knights to hammer from behind. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Not proud of it. My army's not that big in the first place. There's no real excuse to be forgetting about a Chosen unit. They're obviously very important. But yeah, that was a feels bad man for sure. Still, I don't know if it would have been enough. Bretonnia had a lot of men left. And I played 3 or 4 battles with Slaanesh, a similar build to this one. Last night was Zach B. Sane. And all of them actually went pretty poorly. Like, I don't know if I was just playing them wrong. Certainly there. I don't think I played particularly horribly except for the whole forgetting my Chosen unit. I think the Cavalry micro was decent. I think the Guardians of Dark Prince's Desires micro was decent. Avoided engagements where they would have got beat up. But, yeah, I mean, those games just did not go well for me at all. Bretonnia ran me over. High Elves ran me over. They might just be kind of squishy, which makes sense. But I think really what my build was lacking was terror. And so I wanted to try out this full Slaanesh theme build without any warped monstrosities, anything horrific to look upon. But having a Shaggoth, having some kind of terror, and having magic, those are very important things for Chaos. And battles didn't go particularly well, but they got a ton of kills. I mean, Guardians of Dark Prince's Desires and Mirror Guard especially. They ran over a lot of stuff. It was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed.